Obviously, we can go up from here. We do not need to do this pullback that I want, but that's just kind of some of my logic behind it is I want to see a bit of a deeper pullback, shake out some more people who are longing early, thinking it's just going to go up and then smash it. But again, it doesn't have to. Nothing has to happen. No one knows what's going to happen. We're using TA and whatever other tools you may use to try and make an educated guess that is managed from a risk perspective. Literally anything can happen, but what I'm doing is I'm laying out, as you guys, I always hammer this into you guys, if this, then that scenarios. If we come into here, I want to look for a long to target here. If we come into here and I do not get any sort of long trigger, or I long and I get stopped out, then I'm just wrong. Right? Like, and that will happen. Don't stress out about potentially being wrong. We can only operate with what we have available to us here. And then as new information becomes available, and new information, I mean new candles, right? More data, then we can tweak and alter and change our plans as we go. Now, looking at the 12-hour, which is kind of my high time frame from a trading perspective, right? Where I'm actually looking, for executions and stuff. We have our range here that we've been trading in for, a couple of weeks now. We had multiple rejections here, right? So I talked about the lower high forming potentially in here. Multiple rejections, sold off, reject, up, reject, sold off, up, sold off again, failed to make a lower low. And once we reclaim this low, this is like an SFP. From like a logical perspective, and how I view a TA at least, this is the same. The SFP is preferred, right? Like this. But it closed below, instantly reclaimed. The way I trade this is the exact same way I would trade an SFP. So there is a lot of alpha on how I trade just in that statement there. That should add a layer to the cake if you've been paying attention for a long time. To me, this is the same as an SFP. Trade below, instantly back above. You have a breaker form, and on the lower time frames, right? SFPs forming, market structure break, breaker formed, like all the same things that I look for on an SFP entry work here, because the logic is effectively the same. Because on one time frame, it's an SFP. On another time frame, it closed through. Like, so look here. This is an SFP on the 1 hour. On the 15-minute, it actually closed above the level, but then it instantly got right back below. So how is that any different, right? Just like this, it's not an SFP on this time frame, but maybe on the daily, not quite, 3-day. No, none of these, it's an SFP. Oh, the weekly, it's not an SFP, but it's a run below the weekly low and then right back above it. To me, an SFP is just a level getting faked out. So we trade above it, then we're back below. Some people call this an over-under. Some people call this a deviation, right? Like a trader SZ would call this a deviation. The logic is simple. Just like if you're trading a range, right? We're like, oh, we went above the range, but then we sold back in and now I'm bearish. Well, it's like, why? Because it was like a fake out, right? And now you have your risk defined here. Now this visualized in a candlestick, this can be just a wick like here. Or it can be, yeah, a close through, but a very quick reclaim. Like an SFP on the low time frame, this and this on the low time frame, they look the same. It's going to be a move above the level and then back below the level. Move below the level and then back above the level. It's going to look the same, so you can treat it the same, right? Like if I go down to the hourly here, trading below the level, quickly back above, putting in hourly bullish market structure, right? Go to the low time frame up here, traded above the level, we can go down to the 1 minute. This was a pretty hard spike, but the same thing. Trading below, gets above, right back below, and now it's just downtrending. When you kind of understand that they're interchangeable, an SFP is, I think, a better signal because they couldn't even close it below the level. But I put an equal amount of strength in closing below the level, but then reclaiming it immediately.